they say all men are created equal.
Shaq Master!
I pull out the Glock.
Full of suffering succotash, son.
It's one of your nuts hanging out of your shorts.
Real glass!
You have a father, but your father's dead.
Welcome back to the Too Sweet podcast and the final episode of the year and reviewing the final pay-per-view of the year, World's End, which, oh my God, that was a lot. Like, a lot. So we'll be breaking that down and doing a solo review, because, as you can see, Lucy's not here. And as I'm sure everyone can appreciate, that the holiday period is just chaotic and busy. And I was like reflecting on this pay-per-view before recording today. Like, I kind of love and hate World's End. I love the concept of it, but I also hate it that it's nice to have a pay-per-view literally just before the new year, and especially because it seems to be quite consequential, right? Like the last one was quite consequential, this one was quite consequential in different ways, because you've got the Continental Classic wrapping up, and then we had title changes both last year and this year. So from that respect, I really like it, because it's like new year, new me. I like that. But at the same time, it's a lot. Like, it's a lot of stuff to deal with over the holiday period. Like, I did not catch Dynamite this week. It aired on Wednesday, which would have been Christmas Eve, which would have made it being viable to watch Christmas Day. And then we have Boxing Day in the UK. I know some people don't celebrate that. That's not a thing in other countries, but it's just been a lot. So I didn't get the chance to watch that. I was like, it'll be fine, and it was fine. Like, I could kind of pick up on what happened on Dynamite. Anyway, through the pay-per-view, I mean, a lot of people don't even watch Dynamite, they just watch the pay-per-views, and they seem to get on just fine. So, I don't know how people do that, though, to be fair. I wonder if any of our audience does that. I know there was someone when we did our Christmas, like, wrapped episode, someone was saying they just sometimes watch this podcast to find out what's going on, which is a very chaotic way to watch wrestling. But, you know, it's cool. But yeah, I know there's a lot of people that do that, because the buy-ins are so high, and then the TV views don't match up with that. Anyway, not getting into that discussion. But my point being is it's hectic and busy, right? So it's a lot. Like, my brain is mush from cheese and alcohol and socializing and family time and just everything. Like, I can't. So like it was hard for me to, like, I don't know, like, be in the zone watching this. I did watch it, I did enjoy it, and I did it through watching it in parts today. I didn't watch it live. So I was really able to enjoy it because I wanted to enjoy it, and I wanted to, because it was fucking incredible. So I wanted to be able to, like, being engaged with it. So that was kind of my way of doing it. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I love it because, yeah, end of year, new me, new you, new us, new AEW. But then also, like, I hate it because I'm just kind of not in the headspace for like 4 hours of consequential wrestling. I mean, I feel like I'm just like saying stuff and it doesn't make sense. And this is part where Lucy goes, yeah, no, it does make sense. But yeah, you know, like, it's just a lot. And it's like, I like it. I had a really great time with it. It will definitely have a high rating. But also at the same time, it's like, whoa, whoa, worlds were ended, right? Um, so yeah, we'll just get right into it. So I really I enjoyed it all, but the first two matches were just so cool. Like, we had basically the semi-final matches for the Continental Classic back to back. The first match being Takeshita versus Okada, which had a very complicated stip, which we already ripped apart. But yeah, I'm glad. It would have been really cool to have seen Takeshita win, but then I guess, like, that would have cut the story short, and, like, you want to let this feud cook for a really long time. But at the same time, I'm glad that Takeshita also lost, because had he have won, then there was that stupid stip of, like, well, Okada will relinquish the international the continental part of the belt, so he'll retain the international part of the belt, so either way there'll be a title. It was just stupid. It was like we didn't need to do all that, and I wonder whether like that was something they were going to do, because I was thinking maybe the way about it was in an alternate universe, and I think maybe the original booking plan was Takeshita wins the Continental Classic. He thus wins the Continental belt. Okada has the international belt because it's been taken apart, right? That's what the stip it would have meant. And then you could maybe have had Takeshita versus Okada, and whoever loses their belt gets dissolved, maybe, which would have been really pointless. But I wonder if like that was kind of the direction he was going down. But then all the backlash about the belts being made, and then the national belt being made just before this, which was very poor timing, made him think, oh, actually, maybe that's not good. Or maybe, it was always the plan for Mox to win. I don't know, but I just feel like the stip was just fucking weird. Kind of like the writing of Stranger Things Volume 2. Am I right, guys? But yeah, this was I mean, how could it not be good to catch versus Okada? This got some heat, though. This got some heat when I looked afterwards, because I did have a brief look to what people thought of the pay-per-view. And people really took umbrage with the ref spot at the end, where it was awkward and it was a bit botched, but I don't think it was like people are like, oh, that just really took me out of the match. That was just too much. I'm like, it wasn't very immersive or very believable, but it wasn't like, oh my god, the match is over because the ref didn't sell it very well. Like, I don't know, I just find that like quite nitpicky for like everything that we got to be like, oh, that was too far, guys. I was just like, really, really, like, I don't know. I feel like you're just pissing on your own parade there, like cutting your nose off to spite your face. Like, just appreciate what you have is my take on that. But yeah, I liked the commentary throughout the whole night. To be honest with you, especially which match was it? Oh, the finals, Okada versus Mox. That was just, they were really on fire there, and there was a lot of synergy, and they worked really, really well together. I have found in the past that I did note that Danielson on commentary, I think because Shivani and Excalibur are so used to Taz, like I did think it was a bit awkward, and like no one really kind of knew what to say, or like things weren't really landing. But I think tonight they were really in it. They got into beat, they got into pace, however you want to put it. It was just really good. But yeah, I liked the note of the schedule's been hard for Takeshita since winning the IWGP Championship. He's in demand, he's all over the world, and because of this, like, him and Don Callis can have a bit of a disconnect. So going into this match, Don Callis, probably was in the corner of Okada a lot. That didn't make any sense. He was sort of in the ear of Okada a lot, and he kind of knows the game plan going in, but then there seems to be like this disconnection between Takeshita and Don Callis, which obviously Okada hasn't really helped. But I just love that. Like, it makes so much sense, and I love when things make sense. But also, like, what a perfect time to do this. Like, what a perfect time that the IWGP title reign is also running at the same time as his face turn, or his split from the Don Callis family, and with the Okada feud, like, those things all coming into fruition, I think is just great, and not something that you could manufacture. It's not like Tony Khan's like, yeah, my boy's winning the IWGP title. So I really like that all those things are running together. And Takeshita wrestled a very different style of match against Okada here in the past, when like they've been working together and stuff. He's always kind of given him the benefit of the doubt, or tried to work with him. I mean, obviously it's a bit different when he's fighting him, but yeah, this was a very different Takeshita, and much more confident. Right out of the gate, not taking the handshake. Very confident, very aggressive. I mean, he was going for it. And the crowd reaction was just incredible. I was very let down when we went to the tapings in Manchester, just how little the UK crowd gave any appreciation towards Takeshita. They paid him dust. Juice Robinson, they're like, yeah. Head to Sarah, they're like, yeah. Takeshita, like, what? What are you doing? Like, oh, that really, like, stressed me out, man, that. I was just like, what the hell is going on in this country? But yeah, it was good to see the crowd really popping for him, and like him feeding off the crowd feeding off him. It was great. It was absolutely great for sure. And yeah, despite like how aggressive he was, or how he was taking no shit from Okada, it was still honourable. You know, he wasn't cheating. He was wrestling clean. We had the clean breaks during the submission holds. He was just being the alpha, baby. He was just being the alpha. But yeah, the semi sheer drop brainbuster to Okada, clean, clean, clean. All these moves, like just both of them, like the way they the way the moves kind of came into fruition, the selling, like it was just two professionals just wrestling absolute stellar match, which again is why I'm like, why are people discounting it for that ending? Like there was so much good shit in this match. And Takeshita taking the lead for a large proportion of the match was interesting. I mean, that is quite typical of an Okada match. He sort of, you know, doesn't really go for it until we hit the third gear, but it's like you would think that Okada would have gone for it more at the start because he does have a vendetta against Takeshita. He does take it very personally, has eaten a few pinfalls himself, which have been quite surprising. But yeah, we didn't really have that, but it was great to see him take the lead for a large proportion of the match and to let those moments breathe. And yeah, I mean, especially considering that he didn't win, it's nice that he kind of had those moments. Yeah. The tope as well. Like, it was just the simplest of shit. Like the tope, and like you just he fucking threw himself. Oh my lord. Yeah, the Rainmaker reverse into the Blue Thunder Bomb. I was like, Takeshita is a force. I love the Rainmaker. I just love the Rainmaker because it's such a simple move. It's such a protected move, but the possibilities for reversals are just endless. And the reversals at the end of this match were a lot of fun. I mean, the Rainmaker into the roll up, that was super close. And then we had Okada delivering the Rainmaker with the screwdriver, which was in sort of not the turnbuckle, but the side buckle. I don't fucking know what you'd call that bit of the ring. But yeah, and the inference from that is that Don Callis had hid that prior to the match because that's his, you know, that's a staple Don Callis weapon. So yeah, and then that was the point where, you know, the ref kind of, I mean, originally he was looking away, and then I don't know why he turned around. I'm not arguing that it wasn't poorly done, but it was just, yeah, I mean, the excitement of the sport and all that kind of made up for it for me. But yeah, interesting stuff. I mean, you never thought that Takeshita was going to win because, like I said, it cuts the feud short. The stip was confusing. Okada making it to the finals just makes sense. You know, you're kind of thinking anyway, going into the next match, that it's going to be Okada, Kyle Fletcher. Obviously, it wasn't, but that was kind of, I feel like, the predictable route, that we're going to use the Continental Classic as a vehicle to implode the Don Callis family. But it was just kind of more like we're going to use it to create little bumps in the road that are eventually going to break down the vehicle that is the Don Callis family. That was more sort of what we're going for. And hell, I don't mind. Drag this story out. It's fucking gold. And I love it, and the character work, and the more matches we get out of it, the fucking better. Yeah, absolutely love it. But yeah, like, what are the implications going to be for the Callis family? Because Takeshita's already kind of isolating himself. He's kind of outgrown the Callis family. What have the Callis family actually done for him? Because like anyone, it's like a cult, in it. Like, his success really has come from himself. Like Don Callis, it's like for these pseudo sort of manufactured opportunities that don't really exist, but it's like an MLM scheme. I feel that's a perfect analogy. The Don Callis family is literally an MLM scheme. Because you got like all the fucking nobodies at the bottom that are like, oh my god, I'm in the Don Callis family. I'm going to be a somebody one day. It's like, bitch, you're not. You're not. And that's okay. But yeah, like, what's it going to mean? Because you think, sure, like, Takeshita's going to confront Callis about this, and he's going to think Callis had a hand in it. But did Callis have a hand in it? You know, like, I like the ambiguity of it, because it's very plausible that Okada could have just put it there himself. But then it's also plausible that, well, it seems like Don Callis doesn't want to get rid of Takeshita, but he likes the rivalry. So also it's plausible that he would have put it there with him because he likes the tension. He likes to see the boys fighting, girl. Whoo, he likes to see the boys fighting. Um, but yeah, interesting. I'm interested to see sort of how how it goes, especially because it feels like it's not only Takeshita that's going to depart or have some kind of implication, but I'm really interested to see what they do with Kyle Fletcher as well. Like, will they leave together? Could we have a tag team, like them tagging together as like a face sort of arc? I mean, hopefully when Osprey comes back, can Kyle Fletcher then transition up to the main event scene because he's got that interlink with Osprey? Like, I feel like the possibilities are endless and great. Like there's a lot of good things that can come of it, and then also the program that we're inevitably going to get with Takeshita against Okada, and inevitably the young boy beating his his um his person that he's I don't want to say his master, that's a bit ooh, but like his person that he's looked at his senpai, like when we get that, it's going to be a huge moment for sure. So yeah, I really like this. I like the match itself. I liked the building. I liked the storylines. I liked the implications for the Continental Classic. Like the fact that Okada went on. Like I was really happy with this. Really, really happy with this. And yeah, no notes. Even though there was notes because I just read them out. Ha. Next up, we had Fletcher against Mox, which I thought was a really cool matchup on paper and in practice. Like these two together is just, and I could just hear Lucy be like, and that's the thing about the Continental Classic, you get these matchups that you don't, because she always says that, but it's so true. Like you really do, because in what universe would these two fight each other at the minute with like the dynamics and the politics of Dynamite right now? There's no real reason for Kyle Fletcher and a John Moxley to cross paths and have like a blood feud, or there really is no reason. So that is the great thing about the Continental Classic, and I found it really interesting these two together because they're not the match was incredible, but they're not natural like foils for one another. Um, like I know Mox has kind of been on his redemption sort of arc, and that came to fruition at the end of the tournament. But with where he's sort of been like mixed identity sort of thing, and then with Kyle Fletcher, and he's kind of going through like an identity crisis as well. Um, but also just their wrestling styles, like they tend to be the more dominant or the aggressor, should I say, in the match against their opponents. So it's just it's like it should be quite polarized. It should be two magnets that don't quite meet, but they fucking did, and the chemistry was absolutely incredible. We had Kyle Fletcher sort of being the aggressor at the start of the match, being on Mox. Normally, like I say, it's the opposite, Mox being on his opponents, but then commentary were noting how that's the thing about Mox lately. He's kind of gone back, like pre-Death Riders, where he's kind of in that Darby Allin-esque mentality of taking the punishment and kind of getting hyped off it, that strong style sort of vibe, and then coming back and dishing it back out again, getting adrenaline off of being beaten up. Masochism is a superpower in wrestling, folks. But yeah, I thought that was interesting and cool. The brainbuster to Mox on the apron, breaking the 10 count, Mox running into the Liger bomb, some really nice submission counters, and that horrific looking avalanche cutthroat where, I just think, no, that was too much. Okay, it was sick, but it was it was sick. It was physically like, ew, gross, don't do that. Don't do that. Like, stop. You're so young. You're like my age. Like, what are you doing? Like, and the fact that Danielson was watching on, he was cringing. Like, oh my God. Um, yeah, yeah. But while I watched this, I was like, Kyle Fletcher really does just have it all. Like, he's got the look, he's got the star power, he can wrestle, he can put on the 5-star classics. He's a good promo. Like, there really is no reason to not push him. Um, I think he's absolutely fantastic. And then Mox as well, and this was fantastic. Mox wrestling more of the face style and sort of building himself up throughout this tournament. And after losing the belt, as like he's kind of tapping out, he's given up, he's humbled himself, but then it meant him not tapping out meaning more. So like when he was kind of in these submission holds, you're thinking like, oh well, he's gonna tap because that's kind of where he's at now. But then him not kind of it's like, oh okay, like it subverts that. So like the long game he's sort of been playing with his character has been really good, and the payoff was in this match as well. Mox kicking out of the protected brainbuster again on the lines of subverting things, protecting things, and the payoff is fantastic. Kyle Fletcher looking for the screwdriver. I saw this great comment on Reddit. It was like, oh, if only he'd watched the product. there's all that thing about Bailey at the minute, and back in the Fed, people not watching the show and just going home. And I thought that was quite funny. Yeah, why weren't you watching the product, Kyle? And again, like as I was saying earlier about what is the ramifications for the Callis family in all of this? Because if like is that gonna plant some dissension between Okada and Fletcher? Are Fletcher and Kesha gonna come together and be like, there's a conspiracy against us? Are they gonna get paranoid? Because there might not even be a conspiracy against. Like I said, it could just be Okada fucking around with him, and then like oh, like he used the screwdriver, or like it could be explained away, but then is it a conspiracy? Is Don Callis trying to shaft him for Okada? Who knows? But yeah, he did not find the screwdriver. We had Fletcher kicking out of the Death Rider and the Paradigm Shift, and yeah, it was Fletcher amazingly selling the Death Rider for the surprise Mox win. No, it wasn't the Death Rider. I'm sorry. I'm chatting absolute shit. Sorry. It was the it was the what the fuck do you call it? The chokehold. It was the chokehold. Yes, I'm so sorry. It was the chokehold, and he sold it amazingly because he literally right. It was just like a ragdoll. It was absolutely limp and just like the shit. Oh, it was so good, guys. It was so good, and again, quite a protected finish for Kyle Fletcher. Like he lost because his plan didn't, his plan was sabotaged potentially by Okada and Don Callis, and also like losing via passing out is like the best way you can go. Like tapping, I think is the weakest. Pinfall, a bit lame, but like passing out is like the most protected way you can go. And yeah, it was just absolutely sick. And Mox again, like Mox kind of taking control of the narrative, like before Mox being the one tapping out, passing out, but then like being able to sort of fight through it, fight through the pain, use that pain to kind of further him on, and then take out Kyle Fletcher was really really cool, and it was a huge shock. I think for myself. I mean, no one would have predicted that he'd win the whole thing. I don't think anyone would have predicted that he would pass by the semi-finals, especially as a face. But the crowd were absolutely into it. And yeah, I mean, on paper, like I like it because you would expect that it would be Kyle Fletcher against Okada. And then I was thinking, how the hell are they going to do this? Like, who's going to win, Okada or Moxley? Because, like, I feel like Moxley's going to win, but that's a huge risk. And, like, are they going to take that risk? Are they going to trust Mox with that? Are they going to give it to him? So, yeah, I think it led for I think it was the better outcome, a more dynamic outcome. And as I said, there's no reason why these matches against Don Callis family can't happen. But it just gives them more life. It gives the feud more life. It gives all of it more, just a bit more to work with, really. So I don't have any complaints around it. But yeah, I was very surprised. As there was later surprises that night with the main event, which was spoiled for me. It was the Thursday, because I didn't watch it live. I opened Instagram, and I don't follow AEW because I used to follow AEW like on Instagram, and they would just post everything, which makes sense. Obviously, they would post everything because trying to be like, look at this viral clip. You need to watch our show. But it just kind of got a bit ridiculous. I just had too many things spoiled for me, and I opened this, and it was just some random ass. When like you're on your feed, some random ass account they don't follow. It's like MJF wins the title. I was like, oh, but I was so happy with the outcome because obviously I predicted it, and it's what I wanted to happen. So it was fine. I was okay with it. I was like, I'm a bit disappointed. Like, I would have loved to have watched that match live and would have loved to have I would have popped for it, but I was still popping for it as well. I was like, oh, I can't wait to watch it. So It was fine. But yeah, and then post match we had Fletcher with the cheap shot on Mox's ankle. So yeah, he wasn't happy about that. He wasn't happy about that. Next up, we had the Chicago Street Fight, Juice Robinson, Austin Gunn against FTR, which was a really nice change of pace. You know, we've had these serious, quite long, um, drawn out, and I don't say that in a bad way, but just, you know, slugfests of matches. And then now we've got something that's a bit fun, a bit light-hearted, and the opposite of consequential because we all knew FTR were going to win. But I wasn't mad at that. Like, it was nice to just watch something and be like, oh, this is just daft. Like, this is just a daft street fight. Um, and yeah, it was just nice. I really do enjoy the pacing of the cards of AEW. And I can't remember at the start what the pacing was like. Has the pacing always been good on their cards? Because I can't remember. But I feel like since we've been doing the podcast, like, I very rarely have complaints. Like, Tony, he does some questionable things, right? He does some questionable things, but he knows how to do a book a pay-per-view. And he knows how to pace it, and he knows where to put the matches, what steps, timing. Very rarely do I watch something and I'm like, oh, that was too long, oh, that was too short. You know, maybe with TV I kind of do have that feeling more, but that's understandable. Like TV, you have much less, sorry, time to work with, so it makes sense. You know, it can't be perfect, but he really does know what he's doing there. Yeah, this match was fun. We had the can spilling out everywhere. It was not a typical FTR match because the FTR matches are that like drawn out, long near falls, technical wrestling. Um, you know, that's their bread and butter, but this kind of forced them to sort of go outside of that, which obviously we all know they can do that. Not saying this is like a career making match for FTR by any means, but yeah, I thought the stip was utilized really, really well. It wasn't just, which is kind of my issue with street fights, is just, oh, I'm going to pick up the kendo stick and then I'm going to hit you with the kendo stick and then I'm going to get a table and then I'm going to do this and then, oh, here's a chair. Like, it's just so fucking boring. And I don't know. I don't know. I do have some heat. I do have heat with just generic street fights. But I feel like this was genuinely chaotic, well planned. And even when shit didn't go to plan, like Stokely, when he was was he wrestling Juice for the chair? And he was thrown back, and I think he was meant to go through the table. He didn't. He completely missed it, hit the comms desk, and then the table just like flops onto him. Like, it was just a great time. A great time. With FTR targeting Juice's leg with the steel chair. When it came to the technical side of the match, FTR were the better team. However, the stip favoured Juice and Austin, which was nice. And the finish was the pile driver on the belt to a very busted open Austin Gunn taking the pin. Yeah, it was fine and it was fun, is what I wrote. Not necessary, not, you know, oh my God, super consequential, but I wasn't mad about it. I felt a bit differently about Gabe Kidd and Darby Allin. I was like, that didn't feel necessary and it was fun, but like, if I had to cut something, like, I probably would have cut that. But maybe that's just because looking back on it, the whole card was incredible. Every match was incredible, so maybe I am being a bit harsh. I know a lot of people were really high on that match. I wasn't low on it. But I'm just saying, like, I feel like those two matches can be compared because they're not these super long-term stories. I know this one has a bit more long-term story to it. A feud. Well, does it? Because Gabe Kidd and Darby Allin is long-term, I guess, just very, like, sporadic. But my point being is, like, they're both similar things, right? Right? And I just preferred this one, which maybe that's a controversial opinion. I don't know. Next up, we had the women's tag, the Babes of Wrath versus Monet and Athena, and not to nerd out on the card placement, but I do just nerd out on like random shit. Like, oh, that was a great entrance. I like the production, and I like the fact that we're having this like, oh, this is the semis, this is the tag bit, this is the chaotic bit, like Darby Allin Gabe Kidd and the mixed tag. This is the three main events: Stat versus Hater, Carter versus Mox, and then the four way. I thought it was very well done, and even though I did watch it in parts, like it was very easy to watch. Like I think if I sat down and watched the whole thing, like I would have enjoyed it. Like I would have been like, oh, this is a little, oh, this is taking me out of it. Um, but yeah, anyway, back to the women's tag, right? Uh, yeah, it was a great match. Again, every woman in this was fantastic. I feel like, we sung the praises during the tournament, and I kind of just have the same praises, so not to just say things verbatim, but yeah, I think all four of these women are fantastic. It was good to cement them as champions because I didn't know going in whether Athena and Mercedes were going to pick up the titles, and then that was how we're going to see the downfall of Mercedes kind of. But they still sort of did that with like a post match crash out. But yeah, I kind of thought maybe is that what's going to happen? But then also like it's super soon to take the belt off Babes of Wrath, and they are just so over. So yeah, I feel like they just feel very legit. They don't just feel like, oh, they got a lot of hype and then they won the tournament and now they have the titles. It's like, no, these bitches can fight. These bitches can fight. It's very, and again, Mercedes and Athena worked very well. They were coherent until sort of the middling bit of the match where Athena broke up the pin and collided with Mercedes, and then Mercedes accidentally took out Athena. We had the assisted superplex power bomb by them both though after, which was great. And it wasn't like the thing is it wasn't a case of oh they don't have the ability or the wrestling ability or they can't not work together. It's just like I think the way I sort of read this match is Athena and Mercedes are just two strong individuals. And so when they come together, they can do some great shit. But also, like, they don't have the friendship or the camaraderie and in turn, the trust that Harley and Willow have. So I think that kind of gave them the advantage in this. That was sort of how I read into it. But the victory itself, was, I mean, not on a whim, but it was a roll up. Willow slid Mercedes into a very very clean roll up for the victory. But yeah, it wasn't like a decisive sort of. Not it was decisive, but it wasn't. Oh, like they put them away. It can be revisited, which is fun. Like I would definitely like to see Mercedes and Athena win the titles at some point. But at the same time, like I was happy with the outcome in this one for sure, for sure. Then we had Gabe Kidd against Darby Allin, which was very aggressive out of the gate. Um, yeah, it was unorthodox, unconventional, as to be expected of these two going against each other. Darby springboarding onto the steps. Very little technical wrestling, just murder. I wrote I mean, oh my god, and the blood was crazy. Like when Darby did the coffin drop onto Gabe Kidd outside, he was on the mat, and the blood like just exploded out of him. Like it was so grim, so grim. Gabe Kidd with the headlock to Darby, who flipped it into the pin. Again, on that note of it's a victory, but it's not. This is the end of the story. There's still similarly to any roll up in a match. It's like, oh well, you just got me. You caught me on a bad day. But yeah, I don't know how to feel about this because like I like it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun, but for me, like, what's the end goal here? Because Gabe Kidd and Darby, because Gabe Kidd is affiliated with Mox, right? He's affiliated with the Death Riders. I thought we'd kind of done that to death. So what's like, I get that he's got a vendetta against Gabe Kidd because of the things he's done to him, but it just kind of feels like a step backwards. Like Darby Allin's career is just a treadmill. Like he's not going anywhere. You know? In the words of MVP, your career is like a treadmill. You ain't going nowhere. Like it's just like what is the and maybe this is me not living in the moment. Maybe that's my new mantra because it used to be think less, feel more. Maybe I actually need to live in the moment. Um, but I I just don't really get it, or is this a way for when Gabe's contract comes up in February, if he chooses to go to AEW or he chooses to have a dual contract, is that like his way of kind of transitioning over, like, oh well, we've got this program with Darby, so we can slide him into Dynamite that way? Is that it? You know? And it's fine because they are putting on fine matches and they will continue to murder each other and it will continue to be entertaining, but it's just like the Darby Allin bubble of just murder hour with Darby, which is fun, but like I don't know if I'm making sense, but what is the end goal here? Because it just feels indulgent. And is there anything wrong with that? I don't know. Should I be judge and jury on that? I don't know. Is this just me and my own issues with Darby coming out? Perhaps. But yeah, I just look at it and I'm like, we've done this. We've done this to death. Like, and I understand that he's not fighting the Death Riders. He's fighting Gabe Kidd. I get that, but it's just like, I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, next up we had, speaking of Death Riders, the mixed tag with the conglomeration affiliated people and the Death Rider affiliated people. So we had Orange Cassidy, Matt Briscoe, Tony Storm against Daniel Garcia, Marina Shafir, Wheeler Yuta, and Roderick Strong. And I've missed someone out. I've missed someone out there. Oh, Claudio. Yeah, that's it. Right, Orange Cassidy, Matt Briscoe, Tony Storm, Roderick Strong, Daniel against Daniel Garcia, Marina Shafir, Wheeler Yuta, and Claudio Castagnoli. That's it. Woman. Let me be your woman. Yeah, this was a tornado tag, which similar to a lot of the show was just a lot of chaos. But this was just fun. Like, but then is this my bias? Because I'm like, I literally was just about to say I enjoyed this, even though the conglomeration and Death Riders have been done to death. But then I'm like, I still had fun. But then couldn't the same be said about Gabe Kidd and Darby Allin? So is it my own personal vendetta? Like, I don't know. Irregardless, I had a lot of fun with this. Just a lot of comedic moments. I mean, Roderick Strong with Marina Shafir is the funniest thing that they've never addressed that, and that must be amazing. Like, imagine like you're pissed at him because he didn't put the toilet seat down or he didn't take out the trash, and then you're like, do you know what? It's fine because I can just beat the shit out of him in this match. But also, the two of them just looked like they were about to burst out laughing. Oh my god! Like when they went for each other as well, they really went for each other. I was like, dear God, they're having a domestic in here. But yeah, I loved this. I loved it. I loved the ability for all the chaos due to the nature of a tornado tag. You know, there's no tag-ins. It's just everyone going at it, basically. The Death Riders flurried forearms to Orange Cassidy in the corner. The intergender stuff we got was a lot of fun. Just, I mean, Tony Storm was my MVP in this for sure. Like, I loved her interactions with Matt Briscoe, Orange Cassidy at the end when she picked him up. Her partaking in the pin and the downfall of Yuta towards the end, her and Shafir and their history. Claudio, she took the swing. Like, Tony Storm really fucking brought it. Tony Storm, like, the conglomeration is already great. It's already dopamine. Sprinkling a bit of Tony in there, just, wow. 5-star. Amazing. Yeah, Shafir chopping Roddy, lol. And yeah, the victory was the orange punch to you, the hip attack, and then the J driller. So my man took some shit, but yeah, it's just It's just fun. It was just a good time. It's just a good time. And it was nice to see some intergender stuff. Like it seems like it's something the wrestlers want to do, but AEW just has been quite hesitant to pull the trigger on. I still felt they could have took it further, but I really enjoyed it. It's a shame that we never got like heel mocks against Tony Storm though. That would have been very unhinged and very fun in my heart. Then we had Mercedes having a mentee B backstage. Her ego is very fragile. She'll be going against Willow at New Year's Smash. Um, yeah, she's crashing out. She's crashing out. But then it's great how she plays it because she's noticeably very shaken. But then if anyone comments about that, she's very uppity, very on a high horse. Like, who are you to say that? What are you saying? What are you saying about that? It's like great the way she's presented it for sure. And then we had the women's title match start against Hater. Obviously, man, Lucy's thoughts on Jamie Hater were not that high on her. It's not a match where I'm like, oh, can't wait to watch that one, lads. Like, you know. But I found this match very explosive. I thought they absolutely went for it. They put their all into it, and I was invested to a degree. At the same time, like I knew Stat was gonna win. I don't really care about Jamie Hayter, so it did kind of cap my enjoyment. But my enjoyment was here, and then watching it, it was to my cap. My cap may not have been like the highest because my personal interest in Jamie Hayter, but I really did enjoy it, and I'll never take that away from her. She is a great wrestler. Stat's a great wrestler. These are just two hella strong women beating the shit out of each other, which we all love to see. Yeah, I thought Stat looked really dominant. She was kind of a bit heelish, which was interesting. The exchange of the finishes, that haterade that Stat delivered, my God, that was hella stiff. The Avalanche Fisherman Driver, and then we had the Saturday Night Fever closing out the match. So yeah, it got a good chunk of time as well. So yeah, really enjoyed it, and I'm interested to see like what are people's predictions for the women's title because yeah, I mean my prediction is that Mercedes will lose all her belts and then she'll chase the women's belt and it'll be a moment of redemption for her and it'll be very beautiful. But will Stat be the one holding the title? Is my question. Um, what do you think? Like, or do you think we'll have someone in the interim? I'd be interested to find out. I wouldn't mind the women's title kind of hot potatoing about a little bit like the men's is at the minute because I am enjoying Stat, and at the same time I do hope Stat gets a lengthy reign because we don't know when that's going to happen again. Just because it feels like that kind of happened definitely through merit, but through circumstance. It was like the perfect circumstance. And I'm like, when is that going to kind of happen again? Especially if we've got like big people at the top like Tony Storm and Mercedes. It just happened to be that those storylines had kind of acted out, and it was like, okay, start now's your time. But I feel like it would be fun to like have Mina as champ and you know have Tony be champion again and Athena and Tekla. Tekla would be sick. So I'd like to see like just a little bit more movement, I think, in the new year. Um, but yeah, but then also it would be quite satisfying having Stat be champion because Mercedes couldn't beat her last time, so it would count for more. So I don't know. Um, but yeah. Then we had these backstage segments which I'm not like the biggest fan of promos or backstage segments at pay-per-views. I think they should be used only very selectively, like for returns or if there's been like a betrayal or something like that where we have to hear from people. But I enjoyed the backstage segments during this pay-per-view. I think that they definitely added to the show. We had Callis and Okada um talking about going against Mox tonight, going to exact revenge on his vengeance. Sorry, going to act revenge makes no sense. Going to act vengeance on his rejection towards Don Callis and grudges that he holds with the past. And we had Mox, he's been hearing about Okada for years. A guy like him could never beat a guy like that. And yeah, it was like, oh, spicy. bash it. And then that led into the match. So pretty, if you already were hyped, like it definitely added to it. And it definitely planted Moxley as the favourable underdog going into this for sure. Um, yeah, and as I say, I thought comms were on fire for this. Absolutely. Like on fire. They were cooking. Danielson was like, Okada's better at pacing himself. Mox kind of just goes for it. Okada, like even during the Takeshita match, he was careful. Yes, he cheated. Yes, he was more cerebral, but you know, it paid off. And at the end of the day, that's what matters. Mox not having as much time to rehab the knee because he was wrestling again that night. So how Okada's going to target that, how it's going to work into the match. And I thought, wow, like even before his victory, Mox starting the year, who would have thought Mox starting the year with the heat that he had, I'd say especially during the spring, summer period, to now where he's literally being cheered. I mean, that's incredible. Like he literally had X-Pac and during our Christmas like wrapped video, a lot of people comment on that, like, oh, John Moxley at the start of this year, like the heat he had was crazy to now and to his redemption and people chanting for him and people cheering for him and wow. To do that in a year, most people like look at Jericho, like he couldn't do that with multiple multiple years of since like he fell off. Like a lot of people to get back on track like that so concisely, so rapidly, and to win the hearts of fans back so quickly is a real achievement, I think. I mean, wrestling fans are fickle, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like, I think that people should be able to change their minds on things, and I think that leads to a fun product. It leads to fun crowd reactions. It leads to like being surprised, and I think being open-minded in wrestling is like, yeah, it's fun to be tribalistic. It's fun to bash people and like be a hero. It's fun to be a hero. It's fun to be a hero. It's fun to drink the Haterade, but like I think also it's fun to be like, oh, I was wrong. And it's like, oh, damn it, you like you're so good that you're making me cheer. Like that's also very, very special for sure. And yeah, I mean, even just the fact that last year's World's End, he was, you know, with the plastic bag to Danielson to now, like night and fucking day, but really impressive stuff. You had the low blow behind the ref's back, the Rainmaker, Mox kicks out, which like felt like to me like quite a plausible free count at the time because it's like, yeah, he's won by being dishonorable, so why would he not be able to do so now? And we had Mox returning the low blow, Moxley more earnest. You know, it felt like I think comms commented towards the end that he needed it more, and because of that, that's why he was able to pick up the victory because it was the Death Rider for the win. And it was a very like the opening two matches, the semi-finals matches, like I say, it was quite drawn out. It was long, lots of near falls, and then I like how the final was just more like boom, done. But at the same time, it didn't feel short. But I thought they landed it perfectly with the pacing. Like it was just that tournament style of like like shocking, but just it was just fucking perfect. In layman's terms, it was fucking perfect. The Death Riders came out to celebrate, although they didn't look too happy, and it makes you wonder what would they have done if Mox would have lost. It felt like as though they were kind of banking on him losing, and they were like, oh yeah, we're gonna go out, we're gonna kick the shit out of him when he loses. But the fact they'd won it had kind of like thrown them, like, oh, he's champion, which means he's strong, which, you know, like they were kind of reassessing sort of their their game plan on the situation. And then Marks gave a post-match, post-victory promo, and he said the belt belongs to everyone in the Continental Classic for all the hard work they've done, and to the fans. Again, night and day. This is the same guy that kept had the briefcase, kept the world title locked away from the fans, and then now here he is winning the Continental Classic, being like, this is for the fans. I genuinely think if we'd have done the Christmas Wrapped now, I think Mox could have stood a chance to be Wrestler of the Year. And like think less feel more like all those kind of awards. Like I know they did Sports Illustrated, but fuck them. They should have done the Too Sweet award, okay? They should have done the Too Sweet awards. One day that'll be the most legit metric of success in pro wrestling, I'm sure. But yeah, I genuinely think like, is he my Wrestler of the Year? Because I think he might be. I think he might be my Wrestler of the Year, guys. Genuinely, because wow, who could do that? Like, who could do all that and so fast? It felt like it went forever because this year, like the heat and him being world champion and the repetitiveness of that. But then now I'm like, fuck, man. Even when it was bad, it was good. What? My brain is blown. Yeah, but I'm very happy with the outcome. I'm very, very happy with the outcome for sure. And like, what's that going to mean for, again, what's it going to mean for the Cal's family? That's my constant question at the moment, isn't it? Yeah, what's it going to mean now? Okada has lost, like, Don Callis put a lot of stock into him. And like, obviously, he was kind of took a few pinfalls before this. There were kind of a few cracks in his armor. What's going to happen now? And how is Okada going to react when he's confronted by Takeshita and potentially Kyle Fletcher? Do you think he's going to be like, if he'd had the title, he'd just be like, whatever. I think he's going to be very reactive. I think it's going to be some reactive scenes, guys. Like, genuinely, I'm hyped. I'm really hyped. But yeah, Continental Classic, wow. Every year, wow. It is just the greatest, isn't it? It really is the greatest. Yeah, so then that leads us into the main event, which was the four-way Samoa Joe, Swerve Strickland, Hangman Adam Page against MJF. That's it. That's the the winner. Yeah. Yeah, I love this. I love the dynamic of a four-way as the main event, very interesting. And again, I think because we'd already had those long one-on-ones at the start of the pay-per-view, it lended itself very well to the main event and to the chaos. Um, for sure, I like the that it's like it was just we're at the races already. Fucking hell, it's not the right expression. We're at the races already. So I can't think. It's been a long day. We're off to the races. We're off to the races. That's not right. Fuck the races, right? Out the gate, it was chaos, right? Out the gate, it was chaos, which you wouldn't have had it be a trad one-on-one title handshake, ooh, rest holds, ooh, amping it up, ooh, do you know what I mean? Like it was just boom, 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 and no time for rest because there's just constantly people rotating in and out of the ring. For everyone, I mean, I knew the outcome of the match, so obviously that makes you look at things a bit differently. I was kind of looking at it from the lens because I was very happy about MJF's victory because, well, I like MJF a lot, and I'm happy to see him be champion again. I think he he does a great job at it. He's fucking fantastic, and obviously his last title reign kind of got a bit muddled with the devil undisputed kingdom storyline, so it's nice to kind of hopefully do it again, less the bullshit, but also like from my own personal theory that MJF was going to win the fucking title because Swerve Strickland's going to help him do it. So I was just like watching like eagle-eyed, like this is meant to be like a not a binocular, a spyglass, what's it called? Fucking hell. Um, telescope. That's it. Telescope. A monocle. I was just trying to like basically zone in on all the foreshadowing for that, so I had a great time. But yeah, everyone felt like a viable threat, but at the same time, Joe winning just felt right. Like definitely, if I was watching this and I hadn't known, I'd just feel like Joe's gonna win because like there'd be interaction, and Joe coming in and clearing out. It felt right, and also I think because Samoa Joe, um and the ops, like they've been so like such an entertaining group. Like I've been taken by surprise how much I've enjoyed the Samoa Joe title reign. Like going into it, I was like, it's shocking, it's fun, but also like what the fuck. But sorry, that scared the shit out of me. I was like, what is that, a ghost? It's a Pablo. Hook! Come and say hello. The void. Hmm, the void. Sorry, he's very distracting. No, don't eat the USB. Um, he's really handsome, really. I swear he's not just a void. Sorry, what the fuck was I talking about? Um, yeah, I was quite enjoying Hangman. I was quite enjoying the ops. Sorry, I was quite enjoying the ops. That's like Freudian slip. Yeah, like yeah, I was enjoying Hangman, of course. Always enjoyed Hangman. Um, no, I was enjoying it, and it was taking me by surprise at how fun it was. But at the same time, like I do think MJF having the victory was the right move for sure. I think like it was the only time that they could have sort of done that. Like it was the perfect opportunity, and all the stars had sort of aligned in that sort of way for it to happen. Um, but it is kind of a shame because I think Joe's made right, but I think they could have done more to kind of push Hook, Shibata, and especially Hobbs up. And like having Joe be world champion kind of leads to the ops being in the spotlight. So I feel like that's kind of a shame from that end because I would have liked to have seen them sort of be able to grow more as an act. But at the same time, that's the nature of hot potato in the title. That's the nature of keeping it fun, fresh, boom, boom, boom. And there's a long term program here, and it's a turn swerve heel. No, there's a long term program here, and so it's a case of it must be hard. Like as a booker, it must be hard because it's like, oh well, like the ops, like people are really enjoying this, but at the same time, like we've got eggs to crack, we've got cake to bake, girl. Like we've got shit to do. So what happened to the original plot of the movie? Like sometimes that's just how it be. So then post the ops sort of coming in and their shenanigans, we had the muscle buster on Hangman, which he kicked out of, which like I say, it felt like that was gonna be the finish. That's kind of what we were gonna get. Then we had Hangman and Hook locking eyes, and we got sort of shades of Hangman of old, where he can't compose himself, he can't regulate, he can't focus on what's in front of him because Hook, he just can't get over the fact that he lost his title to Hook, which is or at the expense of Hook, which is valid, a valid crash out that enabled Joe to lock in the Coquina Clutch for the second time. We had this amazing sequence at the end of MJF pushing Swerve off pre-Swerve Stomp, Hangman kicking MJF, and then being able to deliver two buckshots to Joe. He was setting up for a third, but he ran into the low blow delivered by MJF. And that then enabled him to also lock in the Heat Seeker to Samoa Joe for the victory. So yeah, MJF is our new world heavyweight champion going into 2026, and I'm all for it. And again, like I said, I was looking for that sort of foreshadowing of Swerve, and I could be totally wrong. I could be totally wrong, and maybe there is no conspiracy. Maybe MJF did just take it, and it's also satisfying for him that he got to pin Joe, seeing as that's how he lost the title previously. But yeah, I just feel like, especially with the end, with how I mean, Hangman was kind of curled up in a ball, Joe's in defeat, and Swerve's just looking on, and he wasn't really expressing a lot of emotion. He didn't look angry, he didn't look upset. He was just very neutral, and I feel like they didn't heavy-handedly put him like do any sort of symbolism. But then I feel like the fact that the sequence started with, I feel like I am reaching right now and I'm a crazy tinfoil person, tinfoil hat wearing person, but the fact that Swerve was on the top rope and was pushed off, like it was like an opportune moment, you know? it felt like set up, but again, I don't know if I'm just crazy. And yeah, like I say, my theory is that Swerve's game isn't that he wants to win the title. He wants the title, don't get me wrong, but he'll do it in his own time and he'll do it when he's ready. But his number one thing is vengeance, and he wants vengeance on Hangman. And part of that was getting him to lose the title. Part of that was then giving it to MJF, who's kind of his new enemy, because I guess I guess Hook's his new enemy, really, isn't he? But it's kind of closed out the arc with Swerve. It feels like they kind of have a begrudging respect for one another on the surface, and they've been working together to defeat Joe. Or like they've come together due to their mutual hatred of Joe. But yeah, I feel like that would be a way to sort of do it, working with MJF, and kind of getting more into Hangman's head. But I guess we'll find out throughout the coming months. But I'm intrigued, because even if that isn't the story beat they're going to go for, to pass the title over to MJF in this way, like, there definitely will be some long-term story there. And I feel like Tony Khan knows what he's doing up till All In. I feel like that's kind of how it feels like. I feel like at the very least he always knows what's going to happen at the big pay-per-views. I feel like that's sort of how he works. So, like, my theory is that we're going to have heel Swerve champion against Ospreay in London, and Ospreay will win the title there. This is my big theory for 2026. But yeah, I thought it was a really, really great show. I kind of wish it was in January, just so I feel like I could process it more, because obviously, like, life at the minute is just so chaotic. But at the same time, like, it was great. It was a great way to close out the year, and I'm feeling really positive about AEW going into the new year. So, swings and roundabouts. As for rating, I really struggle with doing ratings alone. I think that's one of the hardest parts, other than actually doing the review alone and just talking to yourself. But I found it really difficult because you've got nothing to measure it against. My instinct is like a 9, but I think that's also just because of, like, my own head not being, like, in a good processy mood at the minute. But I do think it does deserve higher, because when I think about it, I'm like, well, what didn't you like? A 10 just feels too high. But then I feel like if Lucy was here and if she really enjoyed the show, I could be talked into a 10. But because she's not here, I'm going to give it a 9.5. But then that feels really high. But then it's like, what's there not to love? Like, Mox won the Continental Classic and basically cemented himself as my wrestler of the year just as we're scraping the year end. MJF won, which I really enjoy, and I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed all the matches. Even the matches where I could take or leave them, like the street fight, the Gabe Kidd Darby Allin, and the women's match. The women's title match, sorry. Well, I mean, there was 2 title matches. The women's, the official women's Statlander versus Jimmy Hare. Okay, like, even though those 3 matches are things that, like, I could personally live without, I really enjoyed them. I still found enjoyment in them. The rest of them was great. So yeah, 9.5 is what I'm going to settle on. Let me know. I feel like there's a lot of talking points. MJF being the champion and Mox winning the Continental Classic, I think, being the big 2. So what's your opinions? What's your theories for the new year? If you haven't watched our Christmas episode, you still can. I am calling it the Christmas episode, but there's nothing really too festive about it. It's more a wrapped and more like an end of year thing with some daft segments thrown in. So it's not like, oh, I don't want to watch it because it's not Christmas anymore. Because I'm like that. I'm like, I won't watch anything Halloweeny or Christmassy after the event. I used to hate that, like, when YouTubers would film like a Halloween special on Halloween. I'm like, I don't want to fucking watch it now. It's November. We're in Christmas mode. I'm in, like, New Year mode, But I feel, anyway, my point being, if you haven't caught that video, it's fine to watch later on. Only marginally out of date, because, I would change my wrestler of the year to Mox, and that would have been where my vote would have gone now. But yeah, and me and Lucy will see everyone in the new year. Hope everyone did have a fantastic Christmas. Hope everyone has a great new year. And yeah, thank you for hanging out with me.
I must bid you adieu, goodbye, and good night, bad.
I wish you died in the womb.